So far, all life on Earth depends on water. You are literally made of the stuff. In fact, if you wanted to find another planet that could support human life, we'd probably want to look for one that had lots of water. But what if aliens don't need water to survive? The ingredients for life as we know it might be different on other planets. We tend to assume that life elsewhere in the universe will resemble life on Earth because life on Earth is our only frame of reference. But when scientists ponder what extraterrestrial life might be like, they often imagine a being that doesn't need H2O at all. After all, there are plenty of other liquids out there besides water. And while we can imagine an alien race building their entire society around swimming around in pools of molten lead, that's not really what scientists have in mind. The most commonly proposed alternative to water is methane, which is actually a liquid on some very cold and very far away planets. Methane is actually even better at dissolving stuff than water is, so it would make sense for a living thing to use it as a solvent. A lot of organic molecules, the kind that make up life as we know it, actually dissolve really well in methane, and it's already present in places like the subsurface oceans of Saturn's moon, Titan. So if we were looking for evidence of alien life, we might want to check out methane lakes first. But before you start packing for your trip to Titan, keep in mind that although methane does have some advantages over water, there are also a lot of reasons why it's just not as good at supporting life. For starters, methane is so much less dense than water that anything heavier than air, like oxygen, would quickly sink to the bottom of a methane ocean. That means there couldn't be any swimming around in those oceans unless it was in little submarines. So if life did evolve in these environments, it wouldn't look anything like the life we know. Another issue is that methane doesn't form stable crystals the way water does, so it can't provide a solid surface for organisms to grow on. Even worse, the methane ice that forms on really cold parts of Titan's surface has a pretty nasty habit of just blasting apart in the sunlight. It's called regelation, and it kills off the hardy microbes that try to grow on it. Then again, there's ammonia, which remains liquid over a wide range of temperatures. Here on Earth, we have it in solution with water in our oceans and lakes and rivers. It's actually fairly common in interstellar space, too, where it tends to clump together with water into a kind of icy sludge. Scientists think it could also exist in its own pure liquid form on other planets, but ammonia is toxic to us humans and most other life on Earth, which isn't surprising given that it smells like chlorine and bleach. And while we know that there are other types of life out there that can thrive in highly acidic or radioactive environments, we don't know whether anything can live in pure ammonia. Ultimately, no other known liquid seems to offer the unique combination of properties that water does. It's a great solvent that dissolves a lot of important compounds without reacting with them. It's also unusually sticky for a small molecule, thanks to the weird bent shape of the water molecule and the positive charge on the hydrogen side of things. This stickiness enables water to form cool structures like snowflakes and icicles, and also helps transport nutrients around the cells of living things. But what about other solvents? Maybe there are some unknown liquids out there that are better at supporting life than water is. To identify the key ingredients for life beyond water, scientists are taking a closer look at extremophiles here on Earth. These are organisms that thrive in conditions that would kill most other life, like undersea volcanoes and boiling hot springs, and even inside rocks. By studying how these life forms work, researchers hope to learn how life might work on other planets. Take, for example, the deep-sea vents that are scattered along the mid-ocean ridges that run through Earth's vast oceans. These are areas where superheated water shoots out of the cracks in the seafloor, carrying with it chemicals from deep inside the planet. The water isn't boiling, but the temperature still hits 400 degrees Celsius, which is hot enough to melt most things, including, yes, water. The animals that hang out around deep-sea vents have had to adapt to this extreme heat. Instead of being made mostly of water, their bodies are full of special compounds that both prevent them from overheating and help them function normally. Take a type of seafloor-dwelling crustacean known as a cumacia. They can survive near hydrothermal vents, thanks to the unusual proteins and lipids that make up their bodies. Their enzymes also work efficiently at high temperatures. These adaptations mean that while they need some water to survive, they don't need nearly as much as we do. And scientists think that by studying how these animals work, they might be able to learn how life could work in environments that seem downright hellish to us. For instance, they might help us understand how living things could survive on Venus, which has crushing atmospheric pressure and temperatures hot enough to melt lead. Scientists are also eager to learn more about organisms that can survive in highly acidic or radioactive places, like the cyanobacteria that grow in hot sulfur springs. If we could figure out how these organisms protect themselves from the harsh conditions they live in, then we'd have a better idea of how life could survive outside of Earth's relatively cushy Goldilocks zone. And while none of these extremophiles can survive without water entirely, they do thrive with much less of it than we're used to. And in doing so, they're teaching us how life might work elsewhere in the universe. But we don't have to leave Earth to look for signs of life in other solvents. We may have already done it. There are strange occurrences of methane-rich ice in some Arctic lakes that scientists think could have been caused by life. That's right. Some microbes here on Earth build their bodies around methane rather than water. Take a lake in northern Siberia called Lake Apesian, which periodically freezes over. When the upper layer of the lake freezes, it creates a barrier that prevents oxygen from getting into the water below, forcing the microbes living there to switch over to using methane as their energy source. They pull this off by creating methane water slush in their cell walls, which keeps them afloat in the water above. Meanwhile, the methane inside their cells provides a pocket of oxygen-free water where they can carry on the chemical processes that sustain life. These microbes have basically figured out how to live in two liquids at once. And while we haven't found any fossils of these methane-based organisms in Mars-like conditions yet, researchers are hopeful that we will soon. It would be huge news if we did, because it would show that life can thrive in methane, which would suggest that it could exist on other planets like Mars and Saturn's moon Titan. In the meantime, though, we'll have to stick to searching for signs of life on planets that have a lot of water, and that search has turned up some interesting results. Last year, researchers reported finding hydrated minerals on the surface of Mars that could have come from ancient lakes. Scientists are also hunting for telltale signs of life in the water plumes that occasionally erupt from the icy surface of Jupiter's moon Europa. Of course, any life that does exist on moons like Europa or Titan will have evolved separately from life here on Earth, because life elsewhere in the universe is unlikely to share a common ancestor with us. Scientists call these hypothetical creatures and ecosystems we don't know on life. Not only would this life almost certainly rely on different chemistry than we do, but it could come in completely different forms that we've never even imagined. But while water might not be the universal solvent, it is pretty darn close, and for now, it remains the best place to look for life elsewhere in the universe. Thanks for watching this episode. We've made thousands of educational videos over the years, and we've been able to offer them for free because of our patrons. So to all of our patrons, thank you for what you do to make this happen. If you're not a patron but you want to learn more about what that means, you can go to our support page.